Hello and welcome back, and in this video we're going to be talking about navigation links. So navigation link is a view which controls a navigation presentation. Now navigation link was introduced in iOS 13, and starting iOS 16 there has been significant differences how navigation presentation plays out with the introduction of navigation stack and navigation split view. Now in this video, we will look at navigation link for navigation presentation supported from iOS 13 to iOS 15, and also navigation presentation from iOS 16 and above. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with navigation presentation in iOS 13 to iOS 15. That actually provides you backward compatibility if you're still on those OS versions or your users are. Okay, so navigation link once again is a view which commands the enclosing navigation view to push another view into the navigation stack. Now navigation links basically takes a destination and the label as parameter for one of its initializer. And destination basically provides a view builder, which is a view that is pushed into the navigation stack. Label is what's shown on the view. So let's go ahead and learn this with an example. So we're going to create a new view. And inside this view, we're gonna basically first, let's go ahead and let's make sure we actually import SwiftUI as well. Okay, and we're gonna create the body property, and inside the body property, we're gonna first create our navigation view. Okay, navigation view takes a content. All right, so we're gonna say vstack here. And inside the vstack, we're going to create a text. This text is going to say read hello dev techie. And then let's set the font as large title. Let me go ahead and enable canvas and create a preview for navigation example. Let's go ahead and try canvas again. And there we have it. Let's go ahead and launch the canvas. All right, while the canvas is launching, we're going to create our navigation link. Okay, as you can see that we are getting a warning, a deprecation warning, that this view has been deprecated in iOS 16, and they actually recommend to use navigation link with value or label with navigation destination, which actually presents a better managed navigation between different views. And again, these are used inside the navigation stack or navigation split view. Okay, so we will take a look in later in the video, but let's go ahead and continue with the navigation link. Okay, now navigation link takes a title that you can display, and but this is not the overload that we are interested in. We are interested in where it takes the destination and it takes the label. Okay, so this is the one that we are interested in. So as you can see, it provides two completion blocks, and for the navigation link destination part, we can simply create a text view, and you can say navigation, you reached here via navigation link. Okay, and for the label part, we can simply have an H stack, or let's have a label, and we're gonna have basically a title, and the title is gonna be click me. Let's use system image, and we'll probably use a computer mouse. There we go. Okay, so now if we click on this click me, notice that a new view has been pushed in and we land on this view. And since SwiftUI everything is a view, a component, the entire text view is displayed on the screen where the text is center aligned. Okay, we can click back and where you land is back on the screen. Okay, all right, so what's happening is basically you have a navigation controller being created in the background for you, and a navigation view is pushed into that, right? So now text is a simple representation text view that we are using, but you could call a separate view inside this. Basically, this could be an entire view that you can create, and you just call that view. Okay, so let's go ahead and create another view which we can call here. Okay, so we are going to create a new struct navigation destination view. This conforms to the view protocol, and we just call it destination view for now. And instead of displaying the text, we can say navigation destination view is what should be shown here, and you can see the destination view is now gonna appear instead of the text view. Okay, so you can call a new page another view inside the navigation link. Okay, all right, so now with this, we are just calling a simple view, and that view doesn't take any variables or any of the any parameters, right? But you can change that. You can actually pass parameters. So let's say if this view expects a counter or something, so let's create a counter here. So I'm going to create a private var counter, and we're going to initialize this with 0, and we're going to create a button and increase count, and we're simply going to increase the count by 1 every time the button is tapped. Okay, let's make button style as bordered, so we have a little bit of a room, and button is displayed with its own area and background. Now what we can do is that we can pass this counter here and show that information. So we can say var counter, and this is an integer, and we can say counter is at and we're just gonna put the counter value here. Okay, now we can see that Xcode is complaining that you're missing a parameter, so we're gonna say counter is the parameter that we want to pass in. So basically you can take any parameter and you can pass it to your subviews, and let's click a few times and click on this, and you can see that destination view is receiving the counter, and the counter is at 9 right now. Okay, so this is how you can actually maintain. Now notice that every time we are clicking on counter, the view is increasing. So I'm not clicking 20 times, so I'm just gonna click 1 2 3 times, and it's going to be 23. Now the reason is because the state is maintained at this view. So whenever a view is stacked on the top of another view, then the view, the parent view stays, or the view that has called in the other view stays in the stack. So that means it doesn't go away. So it is initialized, and all the properties that are initialized with it stay active, and we are passing just the value of the counter to the next view. So it just shows whatever value has been updated in the main view. Okay, all right, so this is how you can pass different parameters into your navigation view. Okay. All right, so right now we don't see any title or anything. Now it's easy to add a title using navigation title, and navigation title goes inside the navigation view, so we can simply find the first child, which is like, a container, and add a title. So let's say devtechie.com, and oops, that is the wrong key. Okay, or wrong key combination that was pressed. Okay, so as you can see, we have our navigation title showing up. Okay, now here we have a navigation view, and navigation view is adding a navigation bar at the top, and where it's displaying that title. Now in the other view, you don't have a navigation view. You're simply pushing another view inside the same navigation controller that has been created by the calling view or the parent view. So what happens is, if you add a navigation title here, and if you move onto the next view, you automatically get a navigation bar because it's still under the same navigation stack. Now, this is not true when you're presenting a view using a sheet representation, because sheet does not follow or does not belong to the same navigation stack. That means if you want to display a navigation bar in the sheet or full screen cover, in those cases you'd have to actually wrap them inside a navigation stack or navigation view. Okay, all right, so this is how you basically add a title to your views and subviews. Now, programmatic navigation is possible with the help of another overload, which takes isActive binding as a parameter. Now, isActive is a boolean that if triggered, basically, or if it's toggled true, it triggers the navigation. Now, what we're going to do is we will replace our navigation link with the overloaded function, which takes isActive parameter and add a button which will trigger a programmatic navigation. So instead of clicking on the click me, which is the navigation link, right, we're gonna use a button to trigger the navigation. So this shows, like, you can actually trigger navigation based on certain conditions, events that are happening within your app. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at that one. So we're going to create a state property, state private var trigger animation, and we're gonna set it to false initially. Okay, and then we're gonna change this implementation. So let's go ahead and comment this, and we're gonna create a navigation link here. Now remember, the first time when we created navigation link, it actually had a different implementation that it chose for us, and that one was where it was taking the isActive as a property. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the title. Click me is the actual navigation link. It goes to a destination, which is the navigation destination view. Okay, and this view takes a counter, so let's go ahead and put the counter. Now we have isActive. This is bound to the trigger animation. Okay, now this complaint again is about the deprecation warning, so we're just gonna ignore it for now, and let's add some padding, and let's create a button. Now this button is gonna create a programmatic animation. So program trigger navigation, not animation, programmatic navigation, trigger navigation, and we're gonna simply take the well, I actually call this animation as well. Navigation. Okay, trigger navigation. Trigger navigation dot toggle. Okay, so we're gonna toggle the navigation, and this is $trigger navigation. There we go. Okay, so let's set the button style as border prominent. Okay, and now we have two views. Okay, clicking on this navigates us to the destination view. Now some event happened, like user did something, and we want to trigger the navigation. We actually will use this button, and this button is not the same as the navigation link. Clicking on the navigation link, we are programmatically toggling the navigation here in this case. Okay, so we are clicking on separate button which will launch the destination view. All right, so both navigation link and navigation button will trigger the same navigation push command, and it'll in case of the button, it'll change the trigger navigation parameter, and it'll basically set it to true, and navigation will take place. Now when you're on the next screen, the back button will trigger the trigger navigation as false, and then we're gonna basically dismiss the view. Okay, now there are a couple of other things that navigation link provides. So for example, navigation link provides a value binding overload as well. Now navigation link takes selection as a parameter, which is a binding value, and when it matches the tagged value, the linked view is basically pushed into the navigation stack. Okay, and navigation stack is basically the navigation controller stack that is maintained for all the active views that are in the currently in the navigation controller. Okay, now what we'll do is we will add 3 navigation links and 3 buttons to trigger the navigation. Links will correspond to the button and will issue a navigation command. All right, so let's go ahead and let's comment. Actually, we can leave this one. Let's comment these. Okay, so first thing first, we're just gonna change this, and we're gonna say, or comment this, create a new state, private var selected. This is going to be an integer, optional, and we can initialize it with nil. Okay, and then we're going to create a vstack. Inside this vstack, we are going to create 3 navigation links. Okay, so the first one is going to be view 1. The destination is going to be simply a text, view 1. Okay, and now we're going to basically create a tag for this one, and the tag is going to be 1. Okay, and the selection will update with the selected value. Okay, so whenever this one is clicked, this one is going to be basically this one has tag 1, so this will be triggered. So view 2, 2 and 2 exclamation, and then we have view 3, tag 3 and 3 exclamations. Okay, all right, let's add some padding. All right, and then we're going to create an H stack, and this H stack is going to have 3 buttons. Button, and this is going to be trigger 1. Just going to update the selected value as well. Okay, next is trigger 2, set selected value as 2, and trigger 3, set selected value as 3. Let's go ahead and set the button styles as bordered. Okay, let's set border prominent. Okay, now clicking on each of the link will trigger the appropriate navigation, but creating a trigger and calling it will trigger the appropriate navigation as well. Now, what's happening here is you are dynamically binding these links to the selection that user is making. Now, this is useful when you're creating a menu and you want to display different views based on user selection. So you can create a menu screen using combination of navigation links, and then whenever user clicks on that menu, you trigger that animation by updating that particular selected value and navigate to that particular link. Now, navigation label customization is also possible, where label view can be used with the button style. Okay, so right now our label is basically displayed just as a link, but you can change that by using the button style property, and you can change it to, let's say we want it to be bordered, and it will just honor all the properties that button has, and it'll turn your links into a button. Now, one important aspect is when the navigation bar is hidden, we can use the dismiss environment variable, and that dismiss environment variable will dismiss the detail view. Okay, so what we can do is let's say on the destination side, bar hidden. Okay, so let's see if our back button, actually this needs to go text view. Oh, we are calling the text view, that's why. Okay, let's see. We don't have that button anymore. Let's go ahead and actually let's go ahead and, can I edit here? There we go. Okay, perfect. So I can edit here. But the problem is I want to be able to dismiss this, so we need we need a separate view. So let's create a separate view. We're going to create a new struct, and we're going to call this let's say, what are we calling these views? dest views, view, conforming to the view protocol, and we created an environment property. We are going to go to the key path that says dismiss or dismiss. Okay, and for the body, we're expecting the text to be passed in. So let's say title is going to be a string that is going to be passed in, and we're going to simply display that string here inside a text view, and we're going to say navigation bar back button hidden, and here we're going to say on tap gesture just dismiss. So we're going to call basically on tap on the text view. We're going to dismiss the view and take user back. Okay, so let's call our destination view instead of this one. Destination view, title is view 1. Okay, let's try this one. So view 1, no navigation bar. Tapping on the text view itself will dismiss and bring us back to the main view. Okay, so this is what you can do if you want to create your own custom dismiss logic on your child views to take the user back to the main view. Okay, All right, so this video is already getting longer, so let's go ahead and hop on to the next video where we will cover everything that is introduced starting iOS 16 and plus. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.